Have you ever wondered what finally makes a narcissist let go, walk out of your life with no reason to return? The answer doesn't lie in how strongly you fight back, but in the moment you stop reacting, because to them, every emotion you show, whether it's anger, pain, or fear, is their source of life. They don't need love, they need attention. And as long as you keep reacting, they still hold power. But then, there comes a time when you no longer want to fight, you just want peace. And ironically, that very peace is what makes them lose interest. When you no longer sway, when you stop playing their game, you become invisible in their world, and they can no longer manipulate what they cannot reach. Today, I want to walk with you through 7 profound steps of transformation, not just to make the narcissist leave, but to help you reclaim your inner peace and strength. This is not about revenge, it is a journey of healing. Because when you understand how they operate, when you remain calm and refuse to react, you will realize a simple truth. You don't need to defeat them, you only need to stop playing. And now, let's begin this journey, starting with the most essential, the foundation for every change. Step 1. Stop emotional reactions. This is the first and often the hardest challenge, because for those who've been hurt, not reacting feels almost unnatural. When someone insults, manipulates, or wounds us, our instinct is to defend ourselves, to explain, to be understood. But the moment you do that, you've stepped into their game. Narcissists thrive on your emotional energy. They don't care if you love or hate them, as long as you still react. To them, your tears signal victory, and your explanations confirm they still have control. Like a spoiled child who's learned to throw tantrums for attention, they do the same, only in an adult body with a child's emotional core. When you get angry, they feel powerful. When you justify yourself, they feel important. Every reaction you give reaffirms their influence over you. But when you remain calm, not angry, not fearful, not trying to prove anything, you disarm them. At first, they'll try harder, provoke you, say cruel things, or pretend to change just to get a reaction. Yet if you stay grounded, they begin to deflate, because no performer can continue when the audience has left. Stopping emotional reactions doesn't mean pretending to be cold. It means understanding that your emotions are sacred, and no one deserves to control them. When you master this, you don't just make a narcissist lose interest, you show that you've stepped into emotional maturity, where peace finally matters more than chaos. Step 2. Go completely no contact. After learning how to stop emotional reactions, the next step is to go completely no contact. This is where you protect your space both mentally and emotionally, because healing can only begin once you've truly stepped out of their reach. Many people believe they've gone no contact, yet they still leave small doors open, checking the narcissist's social media, keeping old photos, or asking mutual friends about them. But even a small crack is enough for them to return. They are like a thief who only chooses houses with an unlocked door. If you leave even a sliver of emotional access, they will find a way in. Understand that no contact isn't just a technical action, it's a spiritual declaration. It says, I choose peace over chaos. I choose myself. Blocking numbers, deleting contacts, unfollowing, or even changing your phone number isn't about fear, it's about self-respect. Every time you check on them or wonder how they're doing, you tear down your own boundary. At first, they might try to come back, sending apologies, guilt-tripping you, or even using threats, just to see if you'll react. But if you stay firm, they'll eventually give up. Silence makes you invisible in their world, and they cannot manipulate what they can no longer see. Going no contact is the first real act of freedom, the moment you realize that silence isn't weakness, but strength. When you disappear from their sight, you also disappear from their control. And from that moment on, true healing begins. Step 3. Stop defending and explaining yourself. After you've learned silence and no contact, the next step, and perhaps the most painful, is to stop defending and explaining yourself. Because every time you try to prove something to a narcissist, you hand them power. You unconsciously tell them, you have the right to decide if I'm good or bad. And from that moment, they've already won. A narcissist doesn't seek truth, they seek control. For them, every conversation isn't about connection, it's about dominance. They'll confuse you, twist your words, repeat the past, or rewrite memories just to make you lose your balance and start defending yourself. And the moment you say, "No, that's not true," they smile. Because what they wanted was never your explanation, it was your reaction. The truth is, you can't reason with someone who has no intention of understanding you. Every sentence you speak gives them new material to twist. Every defense you make becomes proof, in their mind, that they still control you. And when you're exhausted and hurt, they call it weakness. But silence is not surrender, it's the beginning of freedom. When you stop defending yourself, you reclaim your emotional autonomy. The truth doesn't need to be proven to someone committed to denying it. If they call you selfish, smile and say, "You're entitled to your opinion." If they say you're cold, answer gently, "I know who I am, and I'm at peace with it." The moment you no longer need to be understood, they lose all power over you. And that's when you realize something extraordinary. Freedom doesn't come from winning an argument. It comes from choosing not to play. Step 4. Learn to be truly indifferent. After the silence, after the exhaustion of defending yourself, there comes a special stage when you no longer feel angry, no longer cry, and no longer need to prove anything. That's when you begin to learn to be truly indifferent. Indifference isn't coldness or apathy. It's what happens when your heart has understood enough, endured enough, and matured enough not to be pulled into the same game again. Pretending not to care is easy. You can delete photos, block their number, or tell yourself you've moved on. But true indifference requires something deeper, facing the illusion and accepting that the person you loved never truly existed. Once you see that, your anger begins to fade. You no longer seek revenge, nor crave their regret, because you finally understand what they did reflects who they are, not who you are. Narcissists need chaos to feel alive. You, after everything, only need peace. And one day, you'll hear that old song and feel nothing. You'll see their name and your hands won't tremble. You'll hear someone mention them and your heart will stay still. It's not because you forgot, it's because you've grown beyond it. True indifference means you no longer need them to change so that you can be okay. You stop waiting for apologies, understanding, or recognition. Your peace no longer depends on them, it comes from within. From the moment you stop feeding energy into what isn't worthy of it. Learning to be indifferent is learning to love yourself differently, gently, wisely, and firmly. Because sometimes, the most powerful answer isn't a word, it's complete silence. Step 5. Focus entirely on your own life. When you've weathered the storm and learned to be truly indifferent, you'll come to realize something profound. The space they left behind isn't meant to be filled with memories, it's meant to be filled with you. This is the step where you shift from living in reaction to living in creation. During your time with a narcissist, you likely adjusted yourself around their moods, happy when they were happy, anxious when they were angry, careful not to upset them. You revolved around their emotional world and slowly forgot that you had your own full of colors, interests, and dreams waiting to be rediscovered. Now it's time to return to the small things that once made you smile. A slow morning, a cup of tea, a book you never finished, or simply a deep breath in the quiet of the afternoon. These gentle moments are how you reconnect with yourself, because when you invest your energy in your own life, you also stop feeding the one who used to drain it. Don't live to show them you're happy, live to actually be happy. When you stop performing, your growth becomes organic, quiet, but radiant. Your energy changes, lighter, calmer, and more grounded. And the people who once drained you will no longer find a place to attach themselves. Focusing on your own life isn't about forgetting them, it's about choosing you. Every time you give time to something that brings you joy, you declare that your life no longer revolves around anyone else. You reclaim the peace, time, and self-respect that were once taken from you. And when you live for yourself, you're not just healing, you're becoming luminous in a way no one can dim. Step 6. Stop trying to change or expose them. After you begin rebuilding your life, A very human urge often rises, the desire to expose them, to make the world see who they truly are, to prove how cruel they've been. But that too is the final trap a narcissist leaves behind, a trap disguised as justice. Because every time you try to reveal them, you're giving them what they crave most: attention. They don't care what you say, only that you're still saying something about them. As long as you keep explaining, retelling, or seeking validation, they know they still occupy space in your mind. The truth is, you can't wake someone who pretends to sleep, and you can't heal someone who doesn't believe they're broken. They don't want to change because they've never thought they were wrong. And you, no matter how compassionate or patient, cannot save a soul that worships control more than truth. Letting go of the need to fix or expose them is an act of liberation, because when you stop trying to prove, you release yourself from anger and the illusion of justice. You realize that peace doesn't come from their admission, it comes from setting down the weight of needing it. Let truth do its work. Time and life have a way of revealing everything that needs to be seen. All you have to do is walk forward, quietly and freely. When you stop trying to expose them, the light within you starts to shine, and their darkness begins to fade on its own. That's when you've truly let go, when you no longer need anyone to know, anyone to believe, you just need to be free. Step 7. Become emotionally untouchable. And then, one day, after countless storms, you realize nothing can truly break you anymore. Not because you've turned cold, but because you can finally see. You've walked through enough pain to understand that real strength isn't in resistance, it's in your ability to stay still amid the chaos. And in that stillness, you become emotionally untouchable. This state doesn't arrive overnight. It comes after the moments you almost went back but didn't, after every emotional wave you faced and chose calm instead. Little by little, you learn to detach from power games, from needing to be understood, from craving validation. You see that they can't touch you anymore, because they were only powerful when you reacted. And now, you're simply no longer there to be touched. Now when they speak, you don't get angry. When they disappear, you don't fear. When they return, you don't tremble. You see them as a distant chapter one that once hurt you, but no longer defines you. Their words are nothing more than echoes from a place you no longer live in. Becoming emotionally untouchable doesn't mean building walls. It means opening wisely. You still love, still care, but now you protect your heart without closing it. You no longer need to prove your strength because you embody it. It's not loud, not performative. It's in the calmness of your eyes, in the depth of your breath, in the silence no one can shake. And then, toxic people drift away. They can't breathe in your peace. They need chaos, while you've chosen quiet. That's when you finally understand. There's no one left to fight, only your own peace to protect. And that peace, quietly, becomes your ultimate freedom. And then, after everything has fallen apart, you realize you are no longer the same. Not in a loud, triumphant way, but quietly, deeply, like a lake after the storm. Calm yet endless. Leaving the narcissist wasn't just walking away from someone else. It was walking away from the version of you who once believed love meant endurance. At first, the silence feels empty. You miss the noise, the chaos, the drama because they once made you feel alive. But slowly, within that quiet, you start to hear your own breath again. You sleep better. You laugh softly. You exhale without fear. And that's when you understand it wasn't love you missed. It was the addiction to emotion. And now, you've healed. You no longer need apologies. No closure. No validation. Your peace no longer depends on them. It lives in every steady breath, every calm sunrise, every moment you choose silence over reaction. The light may sting your eyes at first, but soon you start to see colors you forgot existed. The gentleness of a quiet afternoon, the sound of birds through an open window, the sacred joy of an ordinary morning. The simple things now feel extraordinary, because they are finally yours again. You no longer attract storms, you attract calm. Healthy souls find you, while chaotic ones drift away. When peace becomes natural, and chaos feels foreign, you know you are truly healed. You didn't win by hating them. You won by becoming free, by being reborn. And if you listen closely, there are no more footsteps behind you, only you and the stillness that finally feels like home.